Hey, good afternoon. I'm happy to introduce you, Jonas from AskUI. He's going to talk about cross-device automation with vision-based AI agents. So we are very happy that he's here. He's the managing director of AskUI. So, Jonas, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, it's pretty warm outside. I guess everyone knows
Yes.
that. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm very excited to give a short talk here and
Yeah.
dive a bit deeper.
So where are you based? Are you in Berlin or are you in West Germany?
No, I'm actually in Berlin right now, so it's
Okay.
it's actually cools down in the night, so it's I guess a bit more fine than down there in the south.
Okay. So tell me, who are you?
Yeah, so I'm Jonas, CEO at AskUI. So we are a Karlsruhe-based startup. So I studied in Karlsruhe as well. And currently living in Berlin. We are a team of 18 people. We develop AI agents or AI solutions for software automation, software testing specifically, and are mainly focusing on the like cross-device layer, so everything which is going beyond the web. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to talk about today as well.
Okay, great. So I will go to the back and I'll let you with your presentation. Okay, and I will come back when you're ready. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. All right. So hey everyone. Yeah, you already you heard it from me. I'm Jonas. So nice to meet you all. Today, so the title is Beyond the Browser, Cross-Device Automation with Vision-Based AI Agents. So what does this mean? So if you look in current testing projects, we work with a lot of like large enterprises, and there's a lot of tooling out there and agents for web automation, web testing specifically. But when you look at native apps, cross-device automation, it's very limited. And we found a very good use case. So maybe you heard of a like Operator by OpenAI or Computer Use by Claude. And we use this kind of technologies and other kind of models for making like cross-device automation very easy. We call that vision agents. So it's vision-based AI agents, and I'm talking a bit about what it is in a second. And I also brought some demo stuff with me where you can actually see how it works. All right, so yeah, a bit of a text here. I'm gonna read through it. So what are actually vision agents? So in this definition, are vision agents basically an AI framework or an AI agent that basically enables you to automate computer tasks just based on natural language prompts. We are not necessarily talking about testing here per se, but rather computer tasks. Computer tasks meaning I have a mouse which I can click, I have a keyboard which I can use, and the AI agent is able to use this mouse and this keyboard to perform actions on a computer. How does it work? Typically, you pair some kind of controlling technology, some kind of frameworks which can actually execute those kind of clicks and give those kind of things as a tool to a specific AI model. In this case, we are often talking about Claude Sonnet, for example, Claude 4, 3.5, OpenAI Operator, or different kind of vision language models. Maybe you heard of UiTars or stuff like that, which specifically are made to operate a computer, basically. And how they work is they take screenshots, look at what is happening, and then perform tasks based on that. Yeah, so and then that's basically your entry point for you can do whatever a human does with a computer, just with a LLM or a VLM, so an AI model. Yeah, so how does it look like? I show a bit of like a concept and then actually dive deep into the use case and the code as well. So how does it look like on a framework perspective? So we need to specify when we are talking about vision agents on what level an AI is executing commands. So if you are probably familiar with Playwright or other kind of test automation tools, you always like there's always a single step, like one specific. So we talk about it in a single step action. So one specific click on an element or one specific action is called in that sense a single step action. Meaning I, for example, let the agent click on the URL bar, I let the agent type something, I let the agent press a keyboard. Not necessarily too much AI happening here, especially not in the type in the keyboard command. It can be just parsed. But let's say if you want to do a click command and you just say, I want to click on the URL bar, it's a bit weird from like a first level perspective. How do I know what an URL bar is? And basically, this is the LLM to decide. So the LLM just takes in here a click. I want to click on the URL bar, but the LLM decides what it thinks it's a URL bar. It's not the code per se, which is a different concept than traditional test automation. Then what you can also do is you can retrieve information. So for example, you can also ask questions on screen. So you tell the agent here that I want the datetime on top of the screen and just print it. That's also just asking a question about the screenshot, about the application, and we look at the screen, and the LLM or the AI is really extracting that from there. And that is also, again, considered a single step action, so like one action on screen. And then what we can also do, which I'm going to talk also later on, is you can let the agent explore the application on its own, which in this case is multi-step. So agent.act, we call it here, is like we just provide the intent, which we say search for a flight from Berlin to Paris in January. And then the agent decides on its own what he does. And I'll explain in a second like how exactly this works. And yeah, so let's move on maybe. So how does it work conceptually overall? We talked about a bit about models. You've seen the framework this year. And then there's like also controlling part with the keyboard and the clicks and stuff like that. And yeah, so this is basically the three layers which are defining how this all works. So we always have like models, the AI models, reasoning, deciding what to do. Then we need a framework where we tell the agent, okay, you need to click somewhere, you need to act on something, you need to do something. And then we have the OS level, which is we call it agent OS, which is then actually performing, this could be ADB, for example, the clicks and the keyboards itself. And how this work, I can actually, I wanted to be more interactive today. So we have this model here. It's called PTA, so it's Prompt to Automation 1. It's a very small model. It's open source. You can actually try it out on this URL yourself. It's very easy to use. And what it does is basically you provide a screenshot. Let's say we take this here, and then it's just based on the image, and then you can tell it, I want to click on the App Store icon. So I need to find the App Store icon on screen. And what it does, it retrieves based on this image, and it's independent of resolution, just based on this prompt, what it thinks the App Store icon is. And in this case, I assume it's correct because App Store icon is also down there. And we get the model output, the coordinates of that specific icon up here, which we can then perform the click on. And that's the basic concept of it. We can also use it here, for example, in Wikipedia, where we say, okay, we want to find a search box. Again, this is just using the screenshot. And based on that, we can look at the image and we can see the red bounding box here around the text field, where it says like, these are the coordinates. So it gets the screenshot, gets the resolution, and then it draws the bounding box independent of the input resolution, where it finds the specific single step action, or like the locator, and then can perform a click on it, and then some type command. All right. So this is how single step is done. As a reminder, single step is, okay, agent.click URL bar. So what does this do? We tell them I want to click somewhere. We get, okay, I want to click on the URL bar. It calls this model, takes a screenshot, finds the location, finds the coordinate where to click, and then performs this click on this element it retrieves. But what about multi-step? So multi-step is, I have something like search for a flight from Berlin to Paris in January, and it needs to do multiple steps after another. And how this works is a bit more complex, but maybe in the interactive demo, it's also like easy to understand. But so in general, we have an intent on the left side. So there is an automation prompt. For example, we say automate the login process on a specific website. Typically, like if we are a tester, we have like a test suite laid out where it's like written, but the model doesn't know that yet. So what happens is we start, the LLM takes a screenshot, sees what's on the screen. And for example, there's a username, there's a password field, and there's a button for logging in. It analyzes that screen, takes the information from it, and then knows, okay, I want to automate the login process. The LLM knows now it's on a login screen and says the first step is probably entering an email address there. And then it generates the code for entering with another model, for finding the username text field, entering it there, and then doing the click, and then it takes another screenshot and sees that the username input field is already filled out and that the password field is empty and it needs to enter something there as well. So it always like comes up with an action, performs the action, evaluates with another screenshot if the action is correctly done, and then comes up with the next action. And in the end, the model retrieves, okay, now everything, there's, for example, a text login successful. The model knows, okay, login successful means I'm done with this task, and then it ends this specific test. And yeah, so I wanted to show that also in the demo here. So before I dive into the second part of the talk, which is more on the future of AI, let's get a bit into how to actually do this kind of stuff. So what I did is you can also like do this on your own. If you check out our Vision Agent repository on GitHub, it's you can start for free. There is a part down here where you can set something like you need an account, and then you can set a token, the workspace ID. It's also again free. And then if you follow these kind of steps, which is cloning the repository, spinning up the API and the UI, you get a chat application here, which is basically a chat application called the Vision Agent, which shows what we do pretty neatly. So what I also did, I wanted to automate an Android device. So as we said, cross-device automation. It basically works on desktop. I'll show Windows in a second as well, but I just have this device up here. So it's an emulator. I just set it up. It's not really set up too much, but yeah, we have some apps here. I'm not sure if there's something in here. No, we don't want to sign in, but I want to automate on it. So actually this chat is like allows you to control this emulator just by natural language inputs. All you have to do is like start the emulator and start this chat application. And if we use that now, so I can tell them, for example, click on Gmail and create a new address or something like that. And if I enter that now, we can see that the agent now starts to think. So we now understand like how it really works, and it tells you what it does. And you can actually see here on the right that it clicked on Gmail and it starts to add a new email address now. And it looks for Google. I actually don't know what it will do because I didn't provide like an email number. So it probably will say something. Yeah, so it's basically done here. So let's see what it did. So I said, click on Gmail and create a new address. So what does the AI do with that kind of information? It says, I help create you a new Gmail address. Let me break this down into steps. So this is the thinking part of what it needs to do now. And first, let me check the current screen to locate the Gmail icon. What it does, it calls a specific tool, the Android screenshot tool, to get the screenshot. Then we render the screenshot here. The screenshot was taken. And then it says, I can see the Gmail icon in the top row. I'll tap on it to open Gmail. And it parses to the Android tab tool. I click on the coordinates where it found Gmail. And This actually works for mobile devices, tablets, to like very, very well. So now it says, okay, success, tapped at this position. We have Gmail open. And then it said, now let me check the screen to find the option to create a new account. And it takes another screenshot. It says, I see the add an email address option. I'll tap on it to start creating a new Gmail address. Taps again on the right position. Tapped at 589274. Let me check the next screen to see what options are presented. Then screenshot was taken. I see we need to select Google. I didn't provide this information, so if I'm more specific that I can do that, I can provide that. I'll tap on the Google option. So it decided on itself that he wants to do like the Google email address. Tapped it, and then it said it should take you to the Google account creation portion where you can set up your new Gmail address. You need to fill in your personal information, choose username, create password, add recovery information. And now it asks you if I want to move on with that, or if I want to do that my own. And yeah, so basically, I will start a new chat. So basically, it's done with that one. I'm not sure why it's stuck. Probably. Let me reload it real quick. We can maybe go back and provide them with more information. So maybe let's test add a new mail address to Gmail. The mail address is jonas.menesklou, which is my personal email.com. See what it does now. So again, it taps on Gmail. Goes to Google. And now it has some bugs, like if you've seen, like it tapped a few times on it, but it realized that nothing happened on screen. Yeah, but actually here, actually you can debug here the system. So like the response time from the emulator was very slow. So what you see here is actually that the screenshot was taken at an email. So like it reasoned correctly. So that's one of the drawbacks here. You need to debug it really into what it does. But it says add an email address option here, tapped on it, tapped it, and then it wanted directly to type it, but the response time from the emulator was slow. So it said it correctly typed it, and here it says, okay, I see it. I see we need to select the Google as a account type. I'll tap on the Google option, and yeah, tap correctly, and then it said again you need to enter your password and so on. Verify your identity. So it messed up a bit here the order because of the feedback loop. This is why you probably need a human in the loop. Yeah, this is still in beta, but that's what the vision agents are capable of. What I'm going to show you now is more the use of our systems which are in production, which is I spin up like to generate a bit more other kind of devices, so operating systems. So we're going to automate Windows now. I'm going to show you how you can actually create a test suite now with that and actually use in production and also get reporting out of it. But the other thing just showed you how it in general works and how those agents kind of think. So what I've set up here is basically, so I'm running Parallels here on my Mac. I have set up a PyTest test suite with AskUI. So we start basically, so what the structure is, basically we have a HTML file which describes some stuff. So I set like a QA agent with PyTest. We have a README in here, how to run it. We have a conf test file where we say we want to log stuff, and we also implemented the HTML reporter in here. And then we have here this test my test.py file where I already have some tests created or like some steps, which I can then use. And what I'm going to automate today is I have this Windows application, which is like a RPA demo app, which I think is built in .NET. but I don't need this information. And I want to enter something in here and validate that the like a record is entered successfully. And how I'm going to do this? Actually, there's multiple ways. So first of all, we support locators, which we call like visual locators. So we can say, for example, account name. So maybe let's open it here. That account name is the locator element text field. This is again like not based on a selector. It's just based on a visual understanding of what a text field looks like. Write off a locator text, which is called account name. So this would be this element here, and this is called account name. Primary contact is again locator text write of primary context or write of locator text contact email to be more specific in the single action. But what I'm gonna automate first is using an act command, which is this multi-step just laid out in a single command, which you can use then. And I'm telling him you're an invoicing expert and currently looking at Contoso invoicing on the screen. Enter a new record by at the account name, demo account, at the primary contact tester, at the email tester@test.de. Make sure that you click on the text field to the right and not on the text. So there are some prompting best practices you need to do. So like laying down different kind of steps is very nice. I'll show you in a second also a system prompt, which we run in production for like another client. And then here is we want to also assertion, how our assertion's done with that. So we just retrieve some visual clue, which is, for example, is demo account visible in the table? Answer with yes or no. And then we say UI name check equals yes, and we assert on this answer from the model actually. Okay, now let's run it. So I just started with PyTest. Actually, it doesn't matter what resolution. We are looking at the whole screen here. So yeah, so I'm taking off my hands here. So you need this purple screen, which indicates like what kind of screen the model is currently looking at. So it's taking a screenshot. It's a bit slow in the first run. There's a way to cache the elements and retry it, like and rerun it. Yeah, but let's see first how it runs through. So it's thinking now what to do. It got all the selectors as well. Now it types in demo account into right of like in the account name. So it's going through the add command. Then we have the primary contact where it's tester. And then we need last the contact mail, which is test.de. And now it takes another screenshot for validating. And yes, so the test passed. So we have it here. And then we also created with the HTML reporter a report which you can look at. So which one was the latest? What time do we have? This should be, no, this one. Yes, I think so. Let's see. I can copy path. Paste it in here, and then nope, that was not the latest one. Then we take this one. Look at the Vision Agent report, which it says platform, I'm automating Windows 11, which Python version. Yeah. And then we can check. We also take screenshots during all the time, and we can look what it does. So in the beginning, I told about the 3 layers. So here we say, okay, the agent operating system is like selecting display 1, which is the only display I have. You can connect multiple displays. You can connect like to the agent as an Android device, Windows device, and do cross automation with it. And then we get the command, which is you're an invoicing expert and currently looking at the screen, enter a new record, so to say. And then we have this computer agent, which does the thinking. So the user wants me to simulate an invoicing task, a new record, so it says like what it wants to do. You get all the information here. First, it says I need to take a screenshot to see the current state of the screen and locate the the interface. So it actually looked at the whole screen. And yeah, I help you add the new record. And then what it does, it took the screenshot. It said perfect. I can see the invoicing interface. I can see there are fields for like all the fields it can enter stuff, primary contact. And then it says, okay, I'm gonna start executing on it. And it takes a screenshot. And then it also renders here where it says it wants to click. So you can really, if it for some reason like doesn't find a spot, you can see where it actually wanted to click and what it actually wanted to do. So in that case, I wanted to go to the account name, write off, click on that, and this is right. And then it says click left, and yeah, it actually clicked 2 times. So it validated here that it couldn't see something after the first click. So it put in the application into context. So probably I haven't clicked on it first. So it tried to type, was not into context, and then it clicked again on it. So it debugged itself in that case, and did another left click here, and then did the normal type action of demo account. And then it took a screenshot and it could see the demo account is in there. And it did another click, type tester. Now I click on the contact email field. It looks here, screenshot, where is it? Here. It also have the reference that the other stuff is entered already. Does a left click and then type tester at test. And then in the end, it says, excellent. I have successfully completed the task of entering a new record. Here's a summary of what I accomplished. And in the end, we wanted to do the assertion for the test. And it says, is demo account visible in the table? Answer with yes or no. And it says, the model said yes, which then is correct on our assertion as well. Okay, so we already have 2 questions. I'll quickly answer those maybe. First of all, there is, how does the AskUI vision agent handle errors or unexpected events during automation? So for that, basically it depends on how you define your tests. If you do single step actions, it will just try to perform this kind of action and go to the next one. If you use this act command, it always re-evaluates itself. So it takes a screenshot, finds if the action was correctly done, and then tries to come to the next one. So in this case, in this report, which we have here, you can see this in the beginning that he started with 2 times like clicking in here. And it says like, now I'll clear the field and enter demo account. So it already tried to click here, but somehow it realized, okay, maybe it's not in focus and it needs to do something. So there is ways, actually this act command works really well with pop-ups or stuff like that. So if you have like an application, oftentimes you see that locators are used. And then if there can be a pop-up, you can have an act command, which is, instead of that, simulate if there's a pop-up, close it or something like that. I mean, probably have to prompt it a bit or try with different prompts until it works, but you can then basically in that call, this agent is called and it checks, is there a pop-up? And if there is one, it will just close it. If you let it run on its own completely, I can actually show you something there as well. It will try to solve it. So you can give him just an intent and it will try to solve it. However, you need to be aware that if it does that, it will solve it sometimes in different ways. So this like, it's not a super deterministic behavior, but rather it tries to figure out a system. And for some use cases, it's actually very good because you have then a log of ways how you can navigate the application, and that's a way also to test user experience, how a user would actually navigate those kind of things, and the agent comes up with different kind of ways too. Yeah, so then we have what multimodal fusion techniques can be used to combine vision with other modalities like audio or sensor data. Very good question. It's a very good use case of AskUI as well. I can quickly show something actually. So in, oh, that's the wrong one. We have here, it's not publicly released yet, but we are implementing it at a few clients. It's basically, that's a demo. we use the vision agent technology for testing infotainment systems, where we also have to test other kinds of sensoric data like audio and stuff like that. And we pass this as tools to the agent. And how this works and how we actually execute those kind of things is we get the CSV file with all the tests. And you can see now like how those agents are actually built, where we just provide, like it's a basic test suite. You can have like an act, you have a name for a test case, social login buttons, for example. This is like just a demo for YouTube. And then it says like an action, tap the sign in button on the landing screen, and then verify that Google and Apple sign in are visible. Something like that. We did it for infotainment systems as already on like in car, in automotive, or in other kind of POS system or stuff like that. And the agent just reads that in, similar like an act command. So it gets parsed to an act command, which you have just seen, and then executed on the, like via ADB on that device. And how that works is we have this, it's a bit more technical here, but actually it's basically very much text-based. So what we do is we generate a system prompt giving the agent a lot of context about the target application to understand what kind of stuff is happening. So for that, we say you are an expert Android UI testing agent executing test cases on a mobile app. Your task is to primary objective, execute a test case, and then we provide the test cases which we have stored in the CSV file. So we automatically read them out and give them in the new act command as a prompt with it. And then we say test case ID and create comprehensive documentation. And then we can say pre-execution setup, launch the mobile app, test execution guidelines, execute each step precisely. After each action, immediately document what action was performed, expect versus actual results, screenshot evidence, any deviations, use maximum 3 attempts, document it correctly, where to document it, make a markdown file with a test case report, say what passed, what failed. So there's a lot of like natural language actually happening in the background to make those systems like stable. And what you can also do then now is you can parse in here different kind of sensoric data, where, for example, the vision agent here can access like a shell, for example, the Android agent shell. Here we have some packages which are called, and you can enter here as tools, get custom Android tools. You can enter APIs requests, API calls. You can get the agent some kind of other tools like audio stuff which you can connect to, and then it will just read that in and compare it to like the UI. So like this act command is executing on the UI, and how it works is in those kind of systems, actually what we do is we come into the company, they just provide us with the CSV file from the test suite. We help them write this specific prompt for the context of the application, connect all the tools which we need for the test system, and then it runs on its own and generates reports. There's no test automation script being written by anyone else. It's basically CSV in and then report out. That's basically it. And it has limitations right now, but it works very well for mobile settings, infotainment settings, all this kind of stuff. If you want to try it out, it's not very public yet. We do it a bit with custom stuff because there's still prompting in it, but you can try the chat, which gives a first indicator of how well it works actually. Yes, I hope that answered the question. All right, so this was really about the demo. I can actually, what I can do is, well, I'm not sure if I have enough time. So maybe let's continue with the presentation. So I wanted to, so this is really the demo, what is possible right now. I now want to dive a bit deeper into specifics in test automation, what this means. Because I think like testing has a bit changed since the I call it GPT-3 moment. So basically when like we were a company already prior to the release of GPT-3, and we're then back then doing like an automation framework for also using computer vision, but only single step actions. And back then I remember that AI was perceived as like it's just machine learning. It was not that big of a talk in the test automation community. And Red Hat are like hidden use cases such as prediction models, statistics, etc. And the question was, okay, automation is going to be there, QA engineers, everyone needs to lead, like every tester needs to learn coding, and will there even be human testers in the future? And after GPT-3, basically, that was the moment where the models felt good enough, so they are usable, or some people came up with use cases. And now the question, like, it's really about, will there be testers at all? Or what is going to be automated actually? Like, will I still have a job? And I want to dive a bit into that as well. So yeah, 2021 discussion was about automation versus manual. Today, discussion about AI replacing testers. So what did really change? So if we look, like, I like to look at it from a very like broad perspective. So what happened with GPT-3? So one, language models are able to generate text. We don't know yet, like just text, just leave it there. Then vision language models, which is like also considering images as an input, can explain images and find objects on screens. Okay, very nice. For clicking somewhere, you've seen it in a demo. And then in the end, language models can retrieve information out of unstructured data. This is what, for example, the get command, or you have some sort of kind of tools, for example, which are connected, where there's some kind of data laying around and you need to get information there to do something with it. But what does this mean in testing? So if you look on the process of testing, or like in general, from like a product perspective, we always have like a requirement analysis of the application with some test planning. We have somebody doing the test case development, the test environment setup, the test execution, and the test closure. So where actually is AI gonna replace us or help us? And I think it makes sense to look at it from that perspective, because it's like too easy to say everything will be replaced. But I think it's rather AI can really replace a lot of like manual work right now. Maybe even more so on the QA engineering part than on the manual testing part, but let's see. But yeah, so if we look from a perspective on it like this, which of those areas are really affected by one of those three, like generation of text, explaining of images, and language models can retrieve information? Then if we look at that, we see that test planning is basically text generation in the end, based on a requirement analysis. Test case development is also text generation, considering code is just text in the end. Test execution is basically like very easily put some actions on a screen, maybe also like on some kind of other interfaces, but let's talk about like end-to-end testing on like GUIs. Then it's actions on screen, which we know those can find objects on screen, so we can also do something on screen. And yeah, and what about the others? So basically those kind of things, my take or our take is on it, it's gonna be automated by AI. There will be a human in the loop, but the main job of like writing text generation in that sense will be replaced. For the other stuff, however, so let's look at it. The requirement analysis, not so easy. Probably an AI can help, but the human has like the most context of what the app should do, and also the best understanding of the application itself. So like the initial trigger of this whole process will be more important for humans to understand, as well as the test closure, the evaluation of what the test actually means for us. Like what are the test results meaning? Like, do I need to change something? Do I need to fix something? Is this bug really affecting it, like my user base and stuff like that? That's also not very easy for an AI for now. And the test environment setup is also very challenging typically, but basically this is not really handled by AI. So this is rather deterministic actions based on the requirement analysis. So like, what kind of devices do I need? How do I connect them? What are the interfaces and stuff like that? But that's like very deterministic. Yeah. Also, I wanted to talk a bit about limitations as well. So my take is basically on this whole replacement of testers. AI will replace the work of testers where the accuracy is higher than a human. So if the AI can execute based on a test suite some actions on a screen with a high accuracy, better than a human, then I think AI is going to replace it. And for now, what we see with the stuff I showed you today on, for example, Android stuff on Android, I think we are actually there yet. So it's slower. So one of the limitations, it's a bit slow because we have to call an inference, and we are working on that. But in the end, it's very accurate. And we also have seen cases where we found actually inconsistencies in the test suits. So we got like a big test suite, and based on that, the agent executed all the steps, and then the agent in the end said, hey, there's an inconsistency in your test suite, actually, in your test cases. You need to check this out. And it was correct. So like the human did not notice, did not see it. It was like a test. I don't know why the manual tester didn't report on it or didn't find it, never questioned it. But the agent said, hey, this is not going to work. And the agent was correct in that case. Limitations, but that's like for mobile and like smaller UIs. For now, if you have like a super large user interface, the agents still struggle a bit to configure everything. Like if there's like 50 icons in a row or something like that, it's still very hard. It can be done, but you need more single-step actions than like multi-step actions for those kind of things. Yeah, I put here some benchmarks. They are already old, but yeah, basically it's improving every day. So really, it's just a question of time when we also get good enough for all kinds of different apps to just let the agents run on themselves. Yeah, and then maybe last slide before I come to an end, and maybe there are more questions. How to adapt to it. So what we see is organizations will start replacing specific functions with AI agents. So there's this whole trend going on with like the AI SDRs, which like for sales, AI agents for sales, for customer service. They really grew a lot. There's still limitations there, but they are slowly adapting to the market needs. In testing, I think they are not that much used right now. In web automation, yes. For all other kind of use cases, there's still limitations, but we see them work. And we are for sure, like we have the first clients who really replace manual testing efforts, just like the clicking based on a fixed test suite, where say automation is very complex because of like .NET or some kind of cross-device stuff, where they start to replace this specific stuff just with an AI agent. And yeah, so for us, the work of tomorrow's world will be more of like, how do I orchestrate those kind of agents? How do I write good system prompts? So one important skill to really come up in the future would be coming up, how do I prompt those kind of agents? Like, how do I actually know the context, what it has to do, and give that to the agent, like here, for example, with the guidelines and the pre-execution setup and stuff like that, and not so much of with the execution part that can be handled by AI. All right, so yeah, that's it for my talk, for my webinar. Hope you learned something. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well on LinkedIn or via email, which is down here. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jonas. Was very nice. Was very nice. So how long have you been working in that product?
Yeah, so we've been working on the general tech since 2021. I would say like this whole really like where we really from CSV to whole execution on like mobile devices and like infotainment systems, that's been there for maybe half a year, where we see like the AI models being good enough for that. So
Okay.
we are rolling that out. That's like in production at the first clients, and yeah.
Very nice. For a person like me that is long here in this business, this is interesting to see the whole development and where you are now. And I guess that in the next month or
Yeah.
year, we are going to get amazing things there. And Impressive, impressive. So we have one more question.
Yep.
So here,
Is there any specific areas that are still challenging for AI to assist with? Yeah, so there is, for example, one of the challenging things is like the AI is quite slow still. So like if you really want to have like actions and with like small, like executed very fast after each other, that's like still not really that solvable. You can do it a bit with caching, but that's still like one of the limitations. And then I would say they perform best actually on user interfaces or unit tests or stuff like that, where it's a limited context, where you really have like a specific set of functions, and they work better with like tools and sensors and stuff like that. That works really great. But I actually think web is like tougher problem because you have like those kind of interfaces which are very large, where there's a lot of like noise in the UI, which the agents still struggle sometimes to achieve the goal properly.
oh, okay. So Jonas, no more questions. Thanks so much for being there. It was really a big pleasure. Okay.
Thanks
And
for me.
see you latest at the Agile Testing Days.
Yeah, see you there. All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, my dears, thanks so much for being there. Today was very, very nice. Tomorrow, if you have the time and the mood, so I am having a Peps bar, a kind different concept of talking and getting known people with Brittany Stewart. So this is going to be very nice. I just talked to her, I think 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and just to get her a little bit known, so to get warm with each other. And she's a fantastic person. So don't miss out. See you there.